Alright, yeah, a lot of this video is going to be discussion and me talking and stuff, but let's just jump right into this movie, alright? This is Die Another Day, except wait, let's pause it right here. One thing, I gotta go on a random tangent for just 1 second here. Because Die Another Day is one of the most hated James Bond movies. It is, quite possibly, it might be the most hated James Bond movie, if not for, I don't know, Octopussy or Moonraker or something. Probably a lot of people consider it the worst. When you look online, when you look on, those videos of online fucking movie reviewers of people reviewing it, they just say it is entirely trash. The entire thing is worthless. It is a dumpster fire. The only way to watch it is to watch it ironically and to make fun of all of its stupidity. You see, I have a different opinion. I think that the movie is only half bad, as in the last half of it is a really, really bad movie. But with that, I think that the first half of it is actually a really, really good movie. Maybe it's just because when I, how old I am and when I grew up, but to me, Pierce Brosnan is my favorite James Bond. And I guess what's always bothered me about Die Another Day and its reception is that it ended Brosnan's career on just such a sour note. I mean, they basically fired him after this movie came out. Like, I think he was going to do another one after this, or it was at least up in the air, and then they just, fired him through a phone call. It was bad for Brosnan. And while I'm not saying that the events that happened could have happened any differently, I mean, the movie is bad. That is undeniable. I guess all I'm saying here is that there are good things to see in it. There are good things here. I want to try and defend it a little bit, because Die Another Day isn't all bad. There are actually some interesting things to talk about. Like, for instance, there are some surprisingly nuanced and well thought out, geopolitical elements to it that I'd like to explore. I mean, there's all sorts of good stuff in this movie that I want to explore, but I guess to do that, I need to stop rambling and let's actually, get more than, 2 frames into the movie. Okay. So let's get back to watching the movie. All right, back to the movie. No more tangents. All right, we find ourselves on a beach in North Korea. But actually, hold on. One more tangent. I want to explain why it's smart and interesting that they chose this movie to be set in North Korea. I think the North Korea choice, while many people see it as a cheesy choice, I like it, and I'm going to explain why. To understand a lot of the content of the movie, you have to look at the world and the time that it was made in. Believe me, I am onto something here now. It does relate to the North Korea thing, I swear, because, see, Die Another Day came out around the 40th anniversary of the James Bond series, with the goal of paying homage to old James Bond movies. And one of the things that the old James Bond movies have, I'm talking about the movies before Pierce Brosnan, pretty much before Timothy Dalton, too. I'm talking about the Sean Connery, Roger Moore movies, is that Bond usually fought the Russians, or someone who was allied with the Russians, someone on the East, in the whole East versus West thing, the whole capitalistic versus communism thing, that James Bond was on a certain side of it, and he fought the people that were on the other side of it. But so far, Brosnan's Bond hadn't done any of that. When he made his first James Bond movie, the Soviet Union had already fallen, so there was no, main bad guy for his James Bond to fight. So they had to come up with different story elements. GoldenEye was about a Russia whose former system had collapsed. I mean, the statues of Stalin and Lenin being broken down couldn't be a more obvious symbol. And then Tomorrow Never Dies wasn't about Russia at all. It's about the media, the news media. It's about surveillance and technology. And the world is not enough. It's about oil and terrorism and certain families having control of money and pipelines and blowing up a nuke in Istanbul and pissing off the Muslims. All of these movies are very modern and in a way really ahead of their time when I think about it. But still, they sort of deviated from that traditional East versus West thing that the old James Bond movies had. And since Die Another Day was to pay homage to that, it needed to go back to the East versus West. It needed to put James Bond against a country who was a communist ally, in a sense. And the main one in the world is China, but, since you can't really say anything about China, probably because they financed the film, and also at this time in the early 2000s when the film was made, it wasn't obvious that China was shitty. People didn't really realize this. But a country whose shittiness was obvious was, North Korea. And I know plenty of things in the media made North Korea the bad guys. They were the bad guys of this era and time. But I guess what I'm arguing here is that for Die Another Day, it really makes sense because it is that return to that East versus West, communism versus capitalism, that geopolitical chess match that James Bond is always such an important pawn in. Die Another Day, by using North Korea as its bad guy, was a return to that, a return to the old form, which is what this movie was supposed to be. But anyway, Jesus Christ, I am still rambling. How long is this video? We haven't even made it 10 seconds into the movie. Can we please go back to it? Okay, no more tangents. We're going to get into the movie. I am sorry. Here we go. I'm pushing play. Okay, so we have a CGI wave and surfers. They're surfing off the beach of North Korea. Okay, but really fast. One more tangent. I'm sorry. Look, I know this is cheesy, James Bond surfing again, but you really have to consider when this movie was made again. Like, it came out of like extreme sports, X Games, fucking bullets, slow-mo time. All right, I'm sorry. There are certain things in this movie. It's a victim of when it came out. All right, what can I say? Anyway, back to the movie. All right, so James Bond and his teammates, they surf in, and then they land, and then they reroute a helicopter, they hack a helicopter to land by them, and then James Bond's like points a gun at a guy, takes his briefcase. Clearly, he's there to hijack the helicopter to impersonate this man. Takes his sunglasses and then takes him onto the woods to promptly execute him, which, we don't see. Oh shit, this guy's delivering diamonds. That's real interesting, but clearly Bond has more important things to do. So he sticks a bomb in the case, and now we are introduced to our main villain of the movie. And honestly, I love this introduction. I love this scene. It's great.
나한테 자꾸 잔소리하면 어떻게 되는지 알지? 제 치료사 구해와.
Alright, so Bond's helicopter lands at this North Korean military base. Somebody snaps a picture of him and sends it out to somewhere. We learn that the man Bond is impersonating is bringing the diamonds from Africa in exchange for weapons that North Korea and probably China has made. The fancy weapons that the movie draws a lot of attention to are these hovercrafts. Now, why hovercrafts would be important here is because this is around the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea. It's one of the biggest minefields in the world. It is a very, very defended border, and in theory, if the North Koreans had enough hovercrafts, they could just waltz right into South Korea and bringing about the Korean War Part 2.
RPGs, flamethrowers, automatic weapons, and enough ammunition to run a small war. My diamonds?
They show Bond the weapons, so then Bond has to give over the diamonds. The diamonds are being checked over, and Bond makes his first joke of the movie.
Don't blow it all at once.
Because, the case is probably gonna blow up. But then someone responds to the picture of James Bond that was sent out saying, hey, that's James Bond. He's a British assassin. This pisses our main villain off, so he blows up James Bond's ride, and then he says this.
It's pathetic that you British still believe you have the right to police the world.
You see, communism, East versus West, world police, you get it? Okay, so then we find out that our villain is the son of a general, and this general doesn't know that his son is trading these weapons for the diamonds. The father is on his way, so the son says, shit, we gotta hide these weapons, and also we gotta kill James Bond. So they all point their guns ready to execute James Bond, but he has something up his sleeve. Now the chase is on, action ensues, and honestly, I'm a big fan of everything about this scene. Well, a few things at the end I'm not really a fan of. And don't worry, I will certainly point those things out. But right here, like, look at this. He's going through this gate closey thingy, and then another thing's following him. God, just like great fucking stunts. Love this scene. So Bond pursues our main villain here. It's never really said, but I'm assuming he was supposed to kill him. Like, that's what he was there. He was there to assassinate this man who is selling North Korean weapons to the Africans. But anyway, so it's a chase scene now. Now he is the one doing the chasing. Hovercraft knocks another hovercraft into a tank, which then lands onto a mine, and then flies through the air, lands on another mine, and explodes a bunker. And then this guy has a big gun, and then he has a flamethrower, and there's all sorts of just like crazy shit. But where it gets kind of lame is where he rams Bond's hovercraft, and then Bond has to jump onto the other hovercraft. Like, it's a cool idea. It reminds me a lot of like the truck scene from Indiana Jones, but just some of the green screening effects are really bad. And then what's really stupid is this little flamethrower segment. Like, look at that. Like, clearly the flames just doused James Bond. Like, he would have just been roasted, but we just cut to the shot of him diving away, and then he's over here and he makes it go faster, and our main villain is he's dead. Actually, James Bond just kills him. He kills him, but he grabs onto this thing and says he says this.
Saved by the bell.
But then our villain's father, the general, he shows up and he's like, oh,
my son is dead.
Bond's like, sorry, and then we get this, and then I really like this moment. Just watch this. Great music, great transition, very dark, eerie. I love it. And then we get into this Madonna song, which is it's not that good. It's like they gave her this great little orchestral little thing. Like, dun, 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 dun. And they're like, all right, Madonna, you gotta just sing something over this. Just come up with something. The movie's called Die Another Day. Just say something about Die Another Day. And she's like, I guess die another day. I guess. I want it to not be that, but it really seems like that's how this song came. But what do I know? And you know, the imagery in the opening credits title sequence thing, I like some of it. There's like the flame girl and the ice girl, and that sort of relates to some of the themes in the movies. Like it's not that bad of an intro. It's kind of smart. But anyway, let's just get to the end of it. The general asks James Bond, he's like, hey, who was my son working for? Like, what was his scheme? What was going on? Bond's like, I don't know. Someone betrayed me also. And then they make him walk across the bridge, and Bond thinks he's going to get shot in the back, but it turns out he's being traded for Zhao. The number two, the henchman, the fucking partner of, the villain from the scene before, yeah, him. The diamond-faced, that guy. He's being traded for him. So then Bond gets home, but he's immediately thrown into a hospital. And then Judi Dench, M, tells him that he's fired. He doesn't have his license to kill. He's no longer a 00, like he's just useless. So he breaks out of his hospital room and finds himself on the top of a ship somewhere. He jumps off the ship and realizes he's in Hong Kong harbor. And I want to take this moment, this long shot here, to just point out that at this stage in the movie really takes its time. We don't need to see all of this stuff. We don't even need to see James Bond climbing up this ladder. But it's a good thing. I mean, it helps the audience along. It doesn't make things so jarring. It paces things in a digestible way. And then, of course, for these shots right here, I mean, it's unnecessary, but it's funny. It's entertaining nonetheless. So he sees the guy that runs the hotel, who clearly knows him, and this guy gives him the presidential suite, along with, wine, food, clothes, and apparently the ability to give himself a professional haircut. Pretty soon, a hooker shows up at the door, and James Bond knows what's up.
You think I haven't always known your Chinese intelligence, Chang?
Hong Kong's our turf now, Bond.
Yeah, well, don't worry about it. I'm not here to take it back.
Yeah, this is another smart little interesting geopolitical thing that this movie talks about. Like, Britain used to be in control of Hong Kong, but then they gave it back to China. But they didn't give it back to the Chinese government. Hong Kong was supposed to have its own government. But here in this movie, we have a Chinese government man saying Hong Kong is our turf now. I mean, how ahead of its time is that, seeing as, what's going on in the world right now? Anyway, in this movie, China is kind of a good guy because they want the Zhao guy, the Zhao with the diamond face. They want him dead too, and they say, hey, he showed up in Cuba. He's at this hospital in Cuba, and they give James Bond a plane ticket to go there. So now Bond is on the hunt for this guy in Havana, and again, this is another one of those moments that just takes its time. We don't need to see James Bond walking through the streets of Cuba. We don't really need to see all of these people and all of these cars, but it just sets the stage. It gives us a moment to breathe, to digest everything that's happening. And also, back to the whole, geopolitical East versus West thing, it's kind of cool that Bond gets to go to Cuba because Cuba, again, is one of those communist allies. I mean, the Cuban Missile Crisis thing happened there. It's cool that Bond is, globetrotting to all of these, red countries, all of these, allies of the Soviet Union, all of the remnants of the Cold War. But anyway, Bond finds this guy, and this guy knows about this clinic. He says that there's this hidden clinic inside this hospital on an island, and it is where they do gene therapy.
There's a strange clinic run by Dr. Alvarez. He leads the field in gene therapy, increasing the life expectancy of our beloved leaders.
Yeah, he's talking about Fidel Castro, the big bad guy in the Cold War, the guy that the CIA tried to kill 300 times, but they didn't kill. He ended up living and getting older and older and older and older, and somewhere along the way he must have given up the whole communism thing and gotten an endorsement or something from Adidas. But back to the movie. Oh, and speaking of that, there's a line, there's a play on the Fidel Castro name here in this little joke that...
Unless you want to be known as Fidel Castrota. Rapido, vámonos!
I mean, it's stupid, but I have a juvenile sense of humor, so whatever. Anyway, James Bond is here because he's looking at this island with his binoculars, scoping things out, seeing how he's going to do his mission, and then, of course, he notices boobs, and he's drawn to them. Halle Berry walks up, and they shake hands, and then, they immediately fuck. Because, it's James Bond. But James Bond wakes up, and she's gone. Ooh, role reversal. Where is she? He looks out, and she is taking a boat onto the same island that he needs to get onto. And now we see this cool little spy moment where he's looking through this hospital trying to find where this secret little clinic is. He sees a camera pointed at a wall that, it's just a wall. Why would a camera be pointed at a wall? Oh, because it's a secret wall to a secret clinic. And I love this little shot right here. And it's just great set design. There's no bullshit green screen effects or CGI. It's just interesting imagery. It's taking its time. Everything here is good. I also love this next scene. We see the guy in charge of this gene therapy clinic, the doctor who considers himself an artist.
I like to think of myself as an artist.
And we see that Halle Berry is there as a client. Or is she?
Most artists are only truly appreciated after they're dead.
Okay, so Bond finally stumbles upon Zhao in this clinic, turning himself into a Caucasian man. I'm not sure if this is possible, but whatever. The fight scene that happens afterwards, it's pretty cool. Except for the slow-mo part where Bond grabs Zhao's necklace, but it's a really important necklace, okay? We needed to see it. All the rest of it is really cool, though. I love how they interact with the environment, the whole big magnet thing and the flames, and then it starts a fire in the building and all of the water comes down, and it's just this. It's just this great chase with practical, cool effects. It's good. It's good. Everything in this movie so far is good, I swear. The only part of it that isn't good is the ending, because good God, that just the green screen effects, it looks so stupid. God damn it looks bad. Have a stunt woman do it from far away. But anyway, James Bond opens up the thing that he pulls off of Zhao and finds diamonds. And then back at MI6, we see Moneypenny and Robinson, and they're doing stuff, and M is on the phone with a CIA director, and she's being bitched out because of what Bond has just done in Cuba, because it turns out Halle Berry is a CIA agent, and he may have just, I don't know. There you go. Halle Berry's a CIA agent. And then back to the diamonds, we see James Bond examining these diamonds that were pulled out of the face, and we see that they're identical to African conflict diamonds, but they also have this little insignia on them, which are now known as the insignia of Gustav Graves. Gustav is a British fellow who happened to discover a bunch of diamonds way up north, and he has been using this fortune he stumbled into to do all sorts of philanthropy and public image stunts, and basically making himself into a celebrity, a cultural darling in the last year or so since he has discovered these diamonds. But Bond has just discovered that he got his diamonds from the same place, some of which from the same case that Bond delivered at the first scene in the movie. Gustav is introduced into the movie, parachuting down with a parachute of the Union Jack of the British flag, much like what Bond has used before in past movies. He parachutes down in front of the paparazzi who are waiting for him because he is supposed to be knighted by the Queen that day. So everyone, even the Queen, adores him, but Bond, for obvious reasons, is skeptical. So he tracks Gustav Graves to this fencing club because, of course, Gustav Graves is into sword fighting, as he is into parachuting and, all things cool, he's cool. So he tracks him to this fencing club where Madonna is his instructor. Yes, Madonna not only made the song for this movie, she is in this movie. And I'm assuming she chose her own costume because, you gotta show off the guns. So Bond starts flirting with Madonna, getting her to talk about Gustav, who they're watching fight, and then Bond notices Gustav's publicist, Miranda Frost, who we just met the scene before, and he just immediately quits flirting with Madonna because he's like, ooh, another female who's younger and hotter, and she's like, oh, you want to meet Gustav? And he's like, oh, I want to fight him. And then Bond and Gustav fight for a little bit, and they start betting money over it, and then Bond's like, hey, well, how about we up the stakes here? I have this diamond, looks like a conflict diamond, looks like one of yours. I'm onto you, Gustav. And then Gustav does this shit.
You want to continue?
Of course I want to bloody continue. But since we're upping the wager, let's up the weapon, shall we? Let's do this the old-fashioned way. First blood drawn from the torso.
And I don't care if you think it's cheesy. This is cool. All right, and then they break into a huge fight. All right, this whole scene's cool. I love this scene, okay? This is good shit. I know it gets over the top and they destroy a bunch of things and it's fucking crazy, but these are two fucking alpha dogs, two people with massive egos, neither one of them wanting to back down. This has become a simple little bullshit, prissy little fencing match, and now they are fighting with fucking knight swords, all right? They're going to kill each other.
That is enough.
Everyone treats Gustav like they treat everything else in this movie. They say he sucks. But honestly, I kind of like him. I like how he snaps back and forth between cool and charming and then just crazy. It's a good way for a villain to be, especially one that mirrors Bond. In a way, he's like a for-profit James Bond, you know, not dedicated to Queen and country, but for popularity, power, and profit. And then Gustav was like, hey, I like you, James Bond. Hey, by the way, I'm having this big science-y thing up in Iceland. It's this big convention where all rich and powerful people from around the world are coming to see this thing that I'm working on. Why don't you come too? You're invited. And because Bond got invited to this thing, all of a sudden he gets a call from his old employers. M contacts him and brings him down into this awesome set, these like old train station bunker types. It's great. I love this scene. Anyway, Bond gets called back to action because MI6 is also interested in Gustav Graves. So, according to M...
Well, it seems you've become useful again.
And now we are back to normalcy. Bond sits in his office at the MI6 headquarters. He cleans his trusty Walther handgun, and then we hear something. Someone is attacking. When I was a little kid, I saw this movie with my dad, and I remember this scene specifically. Gunshots in the MI6 headquarters. Even as a little kid, I knew this was pretty unprecedented. And then Bond walks around the corner and, what the fuck? That's Moneypenny? They fucking killed Moneypenny? Jesus Christ, this shit is dark. So then we go into this crazy shootout, and then Robinson, Bond's trusty friend at MI6, he goes to help out, and then fucking shit, they kill Robinson too? And then someone's pointing a gun at M? Jesus Christ, at this point, they're gonna kill M. Fuck, shoot him. Wait, what?
You might mention it is 007, but a perfect marksman isn't really supposed to shoot his own boss.
Oh. Well, okay. Well, that was, an interesting scene. Okay, look, while many people have said this scene is, you know, stupid and unnecessary and unrealistic and cheesy, and yeah, I know, I feel all of that, but at the same time, I also kind of appreciate it, because the moment when Bond takes off those glasses, it's almost like we're entering a different world, where it's like the virtual reality that he was in before, this dark, gritty world where Moneypenny can be killed, where there are stakes and interesting things are happening, and they're happening in heart-pounding ways. When Bond takes off those glasses and enters into the next section of the movie, all of that kind of goes away. In this moment where we see that Bond is in this incredibly stupid and unrealistic VR gadget thing, this is where things start to go off course. Not to say that everything after this point is bad. I actually really, really enjoy this next scene where Q is showing Bond around and there are all of these old gadgets from many different James Bond adventures in the past. There's the jetpack, there's the knife shoe. It's this really great scene, a scene that is highlighted by this excellent shot where we just like move behind the glass without even noticing, and then it's a way to introduce the gadget. The glass shatters in front of the camera. I really, really enjoy it. But then if the VR video game sunglasses weren't unrealistic enough, we now have an invisible car. But whatever, I like this next bit. It's funny.
Shotguns to shoot down mobile objects? Why don't you acquaint yourself with the manuals? You'll be able to shoot through that in a couple of hours.
Just took a few seconds, Q.
But now in this next scene, we learn that Miranda Frost, Gustav Graves' publicist, is actually an MI6 agent, or at least she's been working for MI6 for the last year, giving dirt on Gustav Graves. What M basically is saying to Miranda Frost in this scene, besides just the exposition of the fact that she has been working for MI6, she's like, hey, you need to keep an eye on James Bond, all right? And make sure you don't fuck him, okay? Because, you know, don't fuck him. He always fucks all the other agents that we send. He always fucks all these girls. Don't fuck him. And Miranda Frost is like, I'm not gonna fuck him. And then right after that, we go into this shot. Now, I just want to pause it right here for a second, just so I can talk about this shot. Now, so far, I like pretty much everything that's happened in this movie. Yes, we've gone a little bit off the rails with the stupid VR, with the invisible car. There have been some dumb green screen effects. The movie has not been perfect. Not even close to perfect. So far, it's still probably one of the worst Pierce Brosnan Bond films, but I love all of the other Pierce Brosnan Bond films, so I mean, what can I say? I still think it has been a good movie so far. But this next shot, and the shots coming after it, something happens to this movie. A dramatic shift occurs. It was almost like the team of people that worked on the movie up to this point. You know, the director, the editor, the cinematographer, the production designer, the set builders, everything. It is almost like all of them quit and were replaced by an entirely new team of people because this movie has a drastic change in tone and style. More importantly, style, because from this point on, this movie tries desperately to be cool, to be modern, to be something that it could have never been, to be something that nothing should ever be, but god damn it does it try to be it. And this style that I can't really find the right words to express, I feel like this next thing that this shot right here does is a way of expressing it, because we're moving across this icy tundra and then all of a sudden this shit happens, and then whoa, we slow down, and then whoa, we see Bond, and then look over there, fucking CGI ice castle. And from this point on, pretty much everything is bad.
I missed the kill.
Well, there's a name to die for.
But God, if you think that one's bad, just wait. So many one-liners, so many puns, it just becomes exhausting. But anyway, Gustav shows up driving this ice drag racer thing because, you know, of course he does that. And he's wearing an outfit that I can't believe this look was cool. I can't believe this sort of... Anyway, he notices James Bond, and they walk inside, and he's like, hey, welcome to my ice palace. And he says some cliche shit about, like, living your dreams or blah, blah, blah. And then Miranda Frost shows up, and she's all like, Bond, you're not gonna fuck me. I'm not gonna fuck you. Not gonna work on me. I'm cold. Because, yes, the girl who is ice cold is named Miranda Frost, and yes, this is placed inside an ice castle. And don't worry, there's a one-line about it.
A palace of ice. You must feel right at home.
So that's probably what they mean by that, like, ice lady in the opening credits. And then Halle Berry shows up because, you know, the CIA is investigating Graves, too. And she's driving a red Thunderbird, wearing a red leather outfit and red sunglasses. Wonder who the fire lady is then. Anyway, Miranda shows Bond to his room, and as you would expect, everything on the inside is also made of ice. And he's like, hey, you want to fuck? She's like, no, because I'm cold. You are not going to fuck me. I'm not going to give in so easily. It's going to take a lot more of this movie before I put out, and then we get this. Whoa, so cool. It went fast, and then it went slow motion, and then...
Oh, Martini. Plenty of ice, if you can spare it.
And then he notices Halle Berry, and he, like, says some other stuff. He's like, hey, the other bitch isn't putting out, so, like, you know, you're easy. And she smiles, and, you know, actually, just let's stop it right here. I want to take this time to just talk about how bad Halle Berry is in this movie. I know she's been good in other movies. I'm not saying she's a shit actress, but Jesus Christ, she's not good. Everyone else in this movie, despite how terrible all of the lines are and how ridiculous the plot becomes at the end, I mean, everyone else does a pretty good job acting here. Halle Berry, though, I mean, just listen to this line delivery.
So I left you in an explosive situation. You're a big boy. Figured you could handle yourself.
All right, so a creepy hooded figure shows up to Gustav Graves' living quarters. We see Gustav in this weird light mask thing that looks like something you would buy at a Halloween store. And, of course, the hooded figure is Zhao. And then they speak Korean to each other. Whoa. Yeah, Gustav Graves is the guy from the beginning. He didn't die. He just changed his genes and became a British man. Then Miranda Frost shows up. They make some more innuendo sex joke things.
I take it Mr. Bond's been explaining his Big Bang Theory.
Oh, yeah, I think I got the thrust of it.
I see.
But really, she's just telling them that this big, you know, demonstration, the reason that all of them are here, yeah, that is about to start. So Gustav Graves gives his big presentation, this big thing that he's been working on. And yeah, it's a big space satellite weapon thing in the sky, but he brands it as a second sun. Imagine what we could do with a second sun. So presentation's over, and now Bond is doing spy things. He's sitting inside his invisible car while watching Gustav's henchmen go into his private quarters. So he needs to sneak into Gustav's private quarters. So he just casually walks up to the window to look in to see what's going on. And we have this, a scene where Gustav is like, hey, did you get that weapon done for me? And Gustav's nerdy little bitch dude is like, I made you that electrocution arm thing, like a big glove you put on your hand and it electrocutes people. And then this movie just can't resist having like every time there's a situation where there can be a fucking one-liner, they just have to do it.
Armed. And very dangerous.
He's armed and dangerous because it's an arm on. And then Bond gets instantly noticed by a guard, but then he like instantly kicks the guard's ass and like knocks him out. And then these other two guards run out, And this is another thing. Look at how dumb this is. These two guards run out, and there just happens to be this valve right next to Bond. It's like a situation in a video game where, like, enemies you're fighting, like, happen to be standing on a trap door, and there's, like, this big glowy button right next to you, and it's like, push X to lower the door, and everything just happens to work out. That sort of illogical shit gets a pass in a video game because it's a fucking video game, but in a movie, like, he just pulls the thing, and then he just instantly walks out, and then they're chasing after him, but Miranda's there to rescue him, to pull him in, to kiss him, because, you know, the cliche of, like, oh, we were kissing, I wasn't doing anything. Yeah, they're doing that. And I know it seems like I'm moving through this movie, like, much faster than I moved through the beginning, but I'm not at all. Like, the beginning, the first half just, like, took its time. This, it's like 10 minutes ago, we were just told that, like, a big part of this story is Miranda trying to, like, turn down James Bond, to try and resist James Bond's charm. She's not going to fuck him. And yeah, now here we are, and she's already fucking him. But hey, now it's Halle Berry's turn to sneak into Gustav Graves' private quarters and see what's going on, do some spy work. And we get this little sequence. How many times do you have to cut the shot of her going down this fucking rope? Like, we get it, you want to make it look like she was falling for a long time, so you keep cutting and she's farther up and farther up and farther. But you don't need that many fucking angles of it. And I mean, and I know what they're trying to replicate here, because there are so many parts of this movie that are paying homage to the fan favorite sections of past James Bonds. They're trying to do this. Something tells me they didn't really hit their mark. But anyway, Halle Berry notices some weird colors going on, and she walks towards them, and she's like, hey, what's going on in here? It's Diamond-Faced Sal using the prop from a Halloween store. And she, instead of just immediately shooting him in the face, because that's probably her mission, she's like, ooh, I gotta look and see what's going on. And, oh, I gotta open my eyes all weird. And then, yes, the armed and fully dangerous. And yes, that's what they're making the electricity look like. That's the electricity effect. We go back to Miranda and Bond, and he's already just, like, dressing up to go back out there and do some more spy shit. And she's like, be careful. She hands him his gun that he stashed underneath the pillow. And now we get this. This is just another example of the fucking style. Just... Why? Why do we need that? Why did we need to see his cape whipping in slow motion? Oh, and then more CGI electricity. And then Mr. Kill is like, let's kill her with this laser instead, because that would be fun. And also, remember Goldfinger? So then Bond takes off a layer of clothing, and then another layer of clothing, and then stumbles into Gustav's quarters. He finally gets inside, and he hears this. I don't know about you guys, but I mean, when I hear a loud vibrating noise and a woman moaning, I do not go closer to the noise. But Bond, no, he charges right towards the source of that noise. Unlike me, he doesn't find his grandma. He finds Halle Berry with a laser moving slowly towards her neck to cut off her head. Like, why have it go slow? Just fucking cut off her head. Why have, like, the... Anyway, so yeah, there's a fight scene, and then all the lasers turn on because, of course they do. Admittedly, I like this part. I think it's cool. The laser going through a guy's head. I mean, as he's untying her, she tells Bond that Za was here, and he has this psychedelic light mask. From that information alone, Bond is able to figure out, wait, well, if he has a psychedelic light mask, he must have brought it from Cuba. But he couldn't have brought it from Cuba because we blew up the clinic. There must have already been a psychedelic light mask here. The only reason you would use that psychedelic light mask is if you have this gene therapy stuff. So that must mean that Gustav Graves is that Korean guy that I fought at the beginning of this movie.
I think we need Kill to give us a hand to get out of here.
I got a better idea.
You get it? Mr. Kill is gonna give them a hand? And then he tells her, hey, go to Miranda's room. She's MI6. And then Gustav enters his room. And then this.
So you live to die another day.
he said it. Oh my God, he said it. He said it. So Bond thinks he has Gustav, dead to rights. He's like, haha, I got you. I win. I know who you are. Your own partner is actually working for MI6. She's on my side. Like, look at that. She points the gun at you. But hold on, there's more.
By the way, did you find out who betrayed you in North Korea?
Only a matter of time.
You never thought of looking inside your own organization?
Miranda isn't a spy pretending to work for Gustav. She's someone who actually works for Gustav pretending to be a spy.
It was so good of you to bring your gun to bed with us.
So yeah, she unloaded Bond's gun before she handed it to him, before he went out. But then, like, if you look, you see, like, look, he checks to see if it's loaded. You see it? Like, right there. Like anyone would do who's ever, like, gone to handle a gun, like I'm sure cops before they go out on the job, like, you check to see if your gun's loaded. Like, it's just habit. Like, you do that. And look, he does it. See, he does it. Look, he's checking to see if it's, he would have known. Why did he do that? Why wasn't the director like, oh, Pierce, I know usually when you're handed your gun in these movies, you check it because that's what, a secret agent would clearly do. But in this, let's do that again where you don't do it. Or why didn't they just, like, cut, I don't know, like, half a second earlier? Like,
I've missed your sparkling personality.
How's that for a punchline?
Kill him.
But anyway, Bond uses his magic sound ring to get through the floor, and then he gets in Gustav's ice dragster, and then Gustav turns on the sun laser in the sky thing to chase after him with it. Oh, by the way, the sun laser thing in the sky, it's called Icarus, which, I get it, because Icarus, like, flew towards the sun, but didn't Icarus, like, fuck up? Isn't it obvious, like, he's gonna make this big superpower weapon and it's gonna be too much for him and, like, something? Don't name your big project, your scheme, the thing you're creating, don't name it Icarus. It kind of just, anyway, I don't know why I'm complaining about that when there's so much on the screen that I should be complaining about, because this next part right here, this is one of the worst moments in all of James Bond. You already know about this. Like, this is why you clicked on the video. Like, this is, I can't defend this. The job of defending this is impossible. I mean, Holocaust deniers have an easier job than this, but anyway, that's, well, I do not want to get into that. Anyway, Halle Berry gets locked in Miranda's room, and she's like, oh, we're gonna melt the thing. We're gonna melt this ice castle with our son, and you're gonna drown in it. I don't know why. It's a pretty nice ice castle. I don't know why they'd have to melt the whole thing. Anyway, Bond comes back, and he gets in an invisible car. And Zhao was like, oh my gosh, a guy flying through the air. He must have hit something. Clearly that must mean there's a fucking invisible car, because those totally exist. Oh, and don't worry, my supercar, because yes, of course, Zhao also has a supercar with all sorts of gadgets. It is equipped with a gadget that conveniently can see invisible cars. Super fast, super slow style. Okay, so Gustav and his crew, they leave, and then we're back to more style. And then there's, like, cool action scenes, and then just like how Zhao had that convenient thing to see invisible cars, well, Bond has these convenient shotguns. Like, Zhao has grenades that launch up in the air, and, like, when he has little shotguns that shoot things out of the sky, like, what else would those shotguns ever be used for? Why would you go through all that engineering for such an incredibly specific task? It's so stupid. Okay, but this part isn't stupid. I do like how he runs into the... I like that stunt. I don't know. What can I say? I like it. So anyway, all the ice is melting, and now there's water everywhere, and Halle Berry's trapped, and Bond is looking for Halle Berry because somehow he knows that she's trapped here, and he's got to save her, and the cars are shooting missiles at each other, and the ice palace is collapsing. And, I just want to take a minute. Let's just go like an hour before in this movie. Like, remember towards the beginning of this movie where things took their time, where Bond was, like, spying, doing, like, espionage stuff, like, sneaking around? There was, like, a mystery. Do you remember that? That was the same movie. Because right now, there are two Batmobile supercars shooting missiles at each other inside an ice palace that is being melted by a space laser. Okay? That's what's happening. But anyway, Bond fucking beats Zhao, and he crashes his car, drives it off a thing. For some reason, they do that, like, they did that, like, choppy, slow-mo, like, piss-poor frame rate effect on it because style, I guess. And then Bond shoots a chandelier with, like, a shitload of diamonds, and then the diamonds fall on diamonds. I like that part. And then, yeah, he's going to rescue Halle Berry here. And this is the only scene where they have any chemistry, where she's mostly passed out for it. And I guess one complaint about everybody loves the supercar, supercar battle, but, like, why not have Gustav be in it? Like, why not have that be the last scene? Like, Gustav has his own supercar because, again, he's like the anti-James Bond. He based his character off of James Bond. Anyway, James Bond and Halle Berry fly down into North Korea to assassinate Gustav, and they use these cool little planes because for some reason you can't just jump out of this plane. You actually have to take smaller little planes out of the plane. I don't know. And then, like, the U.S. forces in Britain and NATO, they launch a missile at the Space Sun thing, but it, like, zaps it out of the sky. It focuses on the missile and zaps it. Then Bond can't get a good shot on Gustav, so they have to, like, get onto his plane and kill him. And, I mean, like, I don't know. I've never been a world leader or, like, been in charge of any, like, military force. But if some, like, fucking super villain guy had a super weapon that could kill everybody on the planet, I wouldn't just send one missile. Like, it took a while for the thing to, like, lock onto the missile and track to it. Just, I don't know, maybe send another missile if the first missile didn't work. Maybe send 2 missiles at once. Or how about, like, 50 missiles all from different directions? Like, shoot the fucking thing out of this. Like, you think it'd be a pretty big deal. But wow, I'm barking up the wrong tree because, see, there's this other tree over here. It's called a big Dr. Doom super suit that Gustav Graves is about to put on. It is a super suit that gives the power of this sun thing in control, and that he accesses it with his body. Like, look at him. Look at him. This is past campy, silly James Bond villain. We're into, like, comic book villain territory here. So anyway, he starts using the super laser to blow up all the mines in between North and South Korea. Remember the demilitarized zone where there's all those minefields and they can't cross? So now the North Koreans can cross into South Korea. That's what he's using this super laser for. You have the power of a second sun, and you're going to use this to blow up a fucking minefield in some shitty Asian country that nobody gives a fuck about. You're going to use it to blow up a minefield. It doesn't matter because James Bond and Halle Berry, they're getting closer to killing him. They fucking kill some guys, and then Gustav Graves is like, look, Dad, I did all this for you, you see? Like, isn't this a good idea? And his dad's like, no, you're a fucking idiot. You're crazy. Are you kidding me? And Gustav's like, I'm disappointed in you. And then he electrocutes his dad, and then does this. Yep. Pretty important death. Pretty emotional moment. How are we going to handle it in this movie? So then Bond's like, oh, I'm fucking killing you now. And then he goes to shoot, but the bullet misses and opens up a window, and then the window sucks a bunch of shit out, and the nerd bitch, he's gone. And then Halle Berry, oh yeah, Halle Berry's flying the plane now, by the way. Oh, but sorry, she's not. She's no longer flying the plane because Miranda sneaks up behind her.
Looks like your friends have bailed.
Because they've bailed, they've fallen.
Well, drowning you didn't seem to work. I'll have to try something more to the point.
Because swords have points. That's funny. And then everybody on the ground by this minefield, they're like, oh, Jesus Christ, this sun thing is a super weapon. Too bad all of our countries only have one missile. And then anyway, Halle Berry, she flies the plane into the laser stream or the sun thing. She did it when Miranda wasn't looking. And then the 2 main men start fighting. Slow-mos, cool, bzz, 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 bzz. And then the girls, they start fighting. They start having their own little fight, except less clothes.
Ha! I can read your every move. Read this, bitch.
like read the, because it's a book. She stabbed her with a book because books are things that people read. I get it. I actually really like this part, though.
Oh, look! Parachutes for the both of us! Whoops! Not anymore!
His performance, I'm telling you, his performance isn't that bad. But anyway, Bond, like, you know, gets an idea and bragging about your parachute. There's your parachute helping you now. And then Gustav fucking hangs on to the plane, and then for whatever reason, when Bond pushes the button on, the Dr. Doom supervillain suit, it executes him, and then he fucking dies. And then the sun goes out. I mean, I know it was like a cool effect or whatever. I mean, it wasn't. It was a CGI fucking garbage. It was a cartoon. It would fake. It looked stupid. But to have him like go into the engine turbine, like, I get that. But like, I don't know. Wouldn't it be better if you just like had him fucking fall? Because like Icarus fell or something. Shit, I'm thinking way too much about this.
I think I broke her heart.
You get it? She broke her heart because she stabbed her in the heart. She murdered her in a way that made her heart no longer function. Her heart became broken when she died. She broke her heart. Oh yeah, so Bond and Halle Berry, they have to escape in this helicopter out of the back of the plane. and they can't get the helicopter to start. It's stalling, but don't worry, they eventually start it, and then they take off right before they hit the ground. Oh yeah, but fun fact: a helicopter can be completely out of fuel. It can be completely stalled, and it can fall down, and it can still fall to the pilot can do a certain thing, and he can spin the blades even without the engine. Like, in a way that a plane can glide, a helicopter can fall through the air and glide, catching wind with its blades in the same way. So they wouldn't have, there was never again, Jesus Christ, I am focusing on the wrong things here because, oh yeah, now Moneypenny is actually finally getting that James Bond dick that she's always been after. She's got it. But turns out she was just wearing the glasses.
I was, just testing it out.
That's rather hard, isn't it?
Yes. Very.
You get it? She said it was hard. Like James Bond's cock. Anyway, the movie ends with, Bond and Jinx fucking with a bunch of diamonds. And yeah, as you can see, it ends up being a pretty bad movie. Again, I will argue that the first half is a good movie, and then something goes very, very wrong in the second half. But that does not mean that this was all a bad thing. Because you see, the movie being as bad as it was, getting the reaction that it got, it forced them to push the reset button. It forced them to fire Pierce Brosnan, which, again, like I mentioned before, was upsetting for Pierce Brosnan. And yeah, sure, it was so bad they wanted to go and make the James Bond series gritty and stuff, and they made Casino Royale, and that was all really good. But that is not the silver lining I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about is the movie that was made because of how much they pissed off Pierce Brosnan. Of course, I am talking about The Matador. A movie that is a beautiful commentary on the exact sort of character that he played all these years. It is a commentary on the James Bond series, among many other things. It is a beautiful movie, a deep, rich, wonderful fucking movie that you absolutely have to watch if you have not seen it. It is a movie that only happened because Pierce Brosnan was pissed off enough to make it. And the only reason Pierce Brosnan got pissed off enough to make it is because Die Another Day ended up being shit. So yeah, Die Another Day is a bad movie, but goddammit, the first half of it is good. And goddammit, even though it is bad, better things ended up happening because of how bad it was. So it's still a good thing no matter what way you look at it. And I can't think of anything else to really say about this topic anymore, and thank fucking God for that, because I've been talking for over a fucking hour now. It's really been over an hour. Jesus, you could have just watched the entire movie instead of just blah, 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 blah. I'm done talking. Stop talking about James Bond, Eric. Stop it. Okay, I will. Okay, stop talking to yourself. Jesus Christ. Turn off the fucking sound record. I'm turning off